Mr. Utley.
Our roads in Karnes County and the infrastructure, it's horrible. Goliad County, they have a restored courthouse already. They have an annex in an old hospital that costs $1 million. Over 80% of their roads are paved and zero debt. DeWitt County, a restored courthouse, annex in an old car dealership and a new criminal justice system. Is something coming up to y'all? An annex in an old building instead of building a $3.6 million that will cost $4.2 million building? B County, a restored courthouse. Over 85% of their roads have been paved over the past 10 years. The problem is not taxation. And the unit system can work. I've already been at the Commissioner's Court and asked them 8 or 9 months ago to cut their salaries. One thing that's working for Goliad that we don't do, they have a road agreement. The first time an oil company comes in before they can drill, a signed contract that they have to maintain that road. Why don't we do that? One of the biggest costs to roads is materials, asphalt, and things like that. There are 2 reports, the Gaspy report and FEMA report, that's supposed to be filed with the state, which brings in extra materials for free, hundreds of thousands of dollars materials in some counties. These reports have not been filed in our county for years. I have the ability also, if I'm a county judge, that I'm going to issue a report card every 2 weeks and post it in the paper for what the commissioners have done. And this will tell you partly what they've done. As presiding officer, I will make sure that everyone is held accountable for their positions. Thank you.
Mr. Utley, thank you. Mr. Eccles?
I think the word infrastructure covers a lot of territory. You'd have to know to compare Karnes County with other counties. You'd have to compare a lot of things in a lot of counties. And I was talking with a gentleman just yesterday who used to work for Wilson County. We were talking about the comparison of counties. And he said, my evaluation is that Karnes County is about 25% behind all the surrounding counties. So with that in mind, I think we need to go to work. I think we need to do something about it. There are several comparisons. Infrastructure can include taxes, county tax rates. I'm looking at Wilson County 0.419, B County 0.445, Goliad County 0.553, Karnes County 0.684. Of those 4, in 2009, Karnes County was the highest. I get back to something you're going to hear me screaming about a lot, is stop spending money. That's the only way we're going to balance the books and get our budget, get our financial conditions straightened out. Sure, we can't stop spending money. I don't mean it like stop. There are things we need and things we must have that we'll have to spend on. But let's not spend on things that can wait for financially better times. And so I think Karnes County is behind, and I think we're ready to catch up.
Thank you, Mr. Eccles. We're on round 2, so on our rotation. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. You do. You have rebuttal. 1 minute. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. As far as the tax rate that Mr. Eccles mentioned, it's, the tax rate for Karnes County this year is 0.6193, not 0.684 like he stated. The tax rate in Karnes County has gone down. The taxes this year, and when I took office in 2003, the tax rate in Karnes County is 0.8241. This year, it's 0.6193. So the tax rate has gone down. We have, and another thing, as far as road and bridge. Road and Bridge Department did reduce the budget this year, but the operation money, the money for operations and supplies, it went up. So what we had is less money spent on employees and other benefits. So the total amount of money for operations was more than what it was the year before. And again, our tax rate is going down. It has gone down. the last 2 years. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, in regard to our tax rate, yes, it has gone down. But if you look at your appraisals, they've gone up, way up. If you owned a brick home in Karnes County, your appraisals went up 30% this year. There was a wash in there somewhere when taxes went down and appraisals went up. And it's easy to sit up here and say, change, 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 we're gonna make change. But the only way to make or implement a change is by the majority vote of Commissioners Court. And if you do not have that majority vote of Commissioners Court, it just will not happen. And being the county judge, yes, you are the head of the court, but you have to have that majority vote to implement that change. So no change can be made alone.
Thank you. Mr. Tennant?
Thank you. I'm sure that many of you have heard the phrase bully pulpit used to describe a person who has titular authority but no actual control over the audience. But he can tell them, this is right and that ain't right. And we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And he keeps pointing those commissioners to the true path. And I think that's the problem here. That everybody's so busy patting themselves on the back that the roads aren't getting built. I don't have to do a survey. I have a personal experience with Karnes County roads. The first mile and a half coming out of my gate is breathtaking, and has been for all 7 years that Judge Kendall's been in office. I think that it's management and supervision and good leadership, and those are simple things. But they're not happening here, and they're not happening in the Karnes County Bridge and many other places as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant. Mr. Odley?
My taxes sure haven't gone down, I know that. And if you'll go to the Texas Comptroller's site and you'll look at combined county taxes all across the state, you will see in 08 we were the 7th highest overall tax rate in the state of Texas. In 09 we were around the 24th highest. That's something not to be real proud of. I don't agree that we don't have enough money, because I think we do, if we have leadership from the top. I just told you 2 reports that were filed that would bring us extra materials in. Simply, the buck stops at the top, and we need better leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Odley. Mr. Eccles?
Judge Kendall said that our Karnes County tax rate was .6093, is that correct?
6193.
6193. I stand corrected then from .68, but we're still higher than Wilson, B, and Goliad County, 4th highest. And I think we have to do something about that.
Thank you, Mr. Eccles. Okay, we're on round 2. Ms. Shaw, this will be your time for discussion. Okay, I'll read the question to you. Question 2. Will you freeze spending, wages, and hiring until the county finances are straightened out? If not, why?
I don't think there's a blanket answer to this question. You can't just freeze things. There must be emergency control somewhere. I mean, everything's going to have to be on a case-by-case basis. You can't just say, well, this person's, not going to have this, or this person. We're going to put this blanket effect on everybody. Sorry, Mr. Kendall. If we freeze wages, and we freeze hiring, and we freeze everything, and we have a position that's a dire position, and that person quits, leaves, what do we do with that position? We can't just keep a freeze on it. We need to be flexible with control versus these blanket policies. But we need to control frivolous spending. That's the key. If we have a deputy quit, what happens? If we have a freeze on, somebody else is going to have to fill that position somehow, and we're going to move into overtime. What happens when we move into overtime? So you're going to have to look at that at both ends. We're going to have to balance that. There's not a blanket answer. I guess the biggest answer everybody's looking for is you want spending controlled, and that's exactly what we're going to have to do, is control spending, but we're going to have to in a flexible manner, not a rigid blanket manner. I just don't think that you can just say it's done and we're not going to do anything about it. That just would not work.